All right, hey everyone. So I wanted to go ahead and start by talking about my second device intervention, technology intervention, which is Wooclap. This thing is really clever. It's not quite what I thought it was. I actually initially thought this was going to be more of a way to just input questions into slides and make it more interactive, but it's actually far more flexible than I had anticipated, which is really great given the kinds of things you can do. So here's like an event I created, and I ended up using and imported a slide that I had done for an orientation. But what's really cool is, so first of all, you can select a lot of questions. Now, the really downside with this is unless you upgrade, you can only select two, which is really a huge bummer. But once you've upgraded, you can add significantly more questions, and you can essentially have a question bank, which is associated with your slides, which is really clever. You can do things like word clouds, open questions. You can do spin the wheels if you're moving to the next category or having some fun with it. Polls, timers. You can insert slides directly and then go ahead and put questions or things into the slides. Brainstorming, matching, the list kind of goes on and on. It's a really unique tool and something I hadn't quite seen before, and I really think it's clever the way that you can actually set this up and do it, including even having some like higher level assessment tools, which I really enjoy. So once you select a question, though, it's actually really easy. So you enter your question, you go ahead and enter options, you select the right answer, and then you can go ahead and save. And then once you have your question bank and you're ready to rock and roll, you can go ahead and get started. The first thing you can do is either A, you can give your students the code ahead of time, or B, you can actually just hit display and it will pop up nice and big. There we go. So on my phone, I'm going to go ahead and join just so I can show you what it looks like when answers are selected. So I've joined now, and like I'm currently just waiting, and it says raise your head. There's no vote in progress at the moment, which is good. So you're forced to pay attention, so that way you can't really do much on the phone. So I'm going to go ahead and start this just to show you. So key indicators I've talked about in the past. It's something that every resume has to do. So let's say I want to quiz them because I'm curious if they know this. So I pop up the question immediately, and on their phone it pops up and it says how many key indicators are required. Now on my screen, I happen to know what the right answer is, so you wait for them to select. Let's say they take a shot in the dark, and they select this and submit. Boom. You can see that they've now submitted. You wait until all the participants have submitted, and then when you're ready to go, you can select correct answer, and it will show you. When it's on their phone, it'll actually indicate whether they got it correct or not, and then provide the correct answer below. And so then once you're good to rock and roll, you can hit either exit, or you can just hit this and it moves on to the next slide. So then say we're going forward more, and I've built in a second question. I'm like, perfect, I'm gonna give them another exam question. Same thing, I can scroll down here, I can just select my next question. It's asked to the crowd. This time maybe they get the correct answer. So then I select it, and boom, of course it is correct, and you get a little congratulations on the phone screen. Now what's very clever that I really like about this is two things. One, say you're in the middle of presenting something and you realize, oh, actually this is something I want to ask them. You can create a question on the spot. Now it won't let me, obviously, because I haven't upgraded my plan, so it won't let me really do anything currently, but I could actually just create a question very quickly to quickly throw in there, or I could edit a question or whatever it may be while I'm in the middle of the presentation, and it won't disrupt them at all, which is really clever. So that is really cool. Another thing they have is this competition mode that I really appreciate. So if you do want to make it fun, you can do this competition mode where you can actually compete against each other. People can give display names, points can be given out. It's a really unique way to engage students that I really wasn't anticipating when I had looked into this, but it's something that I would heavily consider using in the future. I think it does a great job. Not only does it allow you to focus on how you're presenting your slides, but it can be used as check-ins. It can be used as prior knowledge. You could use polls to assess where students' level of understanding is. You could potentially even use it just for fun. You could put in random little things to just see who's paying attention to get free points. I think the uses for this are almost limitless as long as you just have the forethought to do some preparation ahead of time. So I think this is a really clever technology that I think could be used at almost any grade level. It might be more effective at the K through 12 level. Once you get to the college level, you probably have some other tools that you may or may not use. But for sure, this is something that I think would be really unique and interesting, and it would give people a reason to kind of stay engaged, The only downside and limitations, aside from obviously only having a limited number of questions that I can select from without upgrading to the next level, is that it does require students to be on their phones. So if you have issues with accessibility or connecting, you can technically connect via a laptop or other things, but it would mean that either A, the student has to have a laptop, or B, the school is requiring the laptop for the student. Another issue that I could see arising is that because it requires them to be on their phones or their laptop, they may potentially kind of dip in and out of the app or the web to kind of use other tools or kind of mess around. So that's something you can do. I would like to play with it more. Eventually, I believe you can look at things like you can actually pull a report and you can actually see who answered what questions so you can get a better sense of where people are afterwards. Another thing you can do is you can actually reset these. So say you're giving this presentation to the next class, you download the report, you hit reset, and boom. Now it is good to go again. So that way you can ask the question and it won't show the previous answers. As you can see also, it does give some unique embedding options. So you can actually direct link or embed if you want to get really clever and you want to put it in like a Google Classroom or something like that, or just add this kinds of questions elsewhere. So this is something I think really, as long as you take the time to learn it, can be incredibly beneficial.